finance himself to appear or to take part in the discussion where we pointed out to the Minister of Finance. In fact, he did not attend himself, but he sent his deputy. So we noticed that our debt is unsustainable or heading towards unsustainable back in 2021 first quarter. We believe that as minority or as opposition party, our interest is not just to win election, but to contribute towards policy shaping and also to ensure that our people benefit from policies of government. But unfortunately, when we raised the issue, the government did not deal with the concerns. We had said that our debt at the time in 2021 was 80% of GDP. If you are to include the ESLA bond, the Dache bond, the Sino-Hydro bond, and if you are to include all of them at the time, Sino-Hydro loan, or barter trade, so they call it. Obviously, it will mean that Ghana's debt has reached an unsustainable limit. In fact, we had gotten to the dreaded 80% that nobody wanted to get there. We had recommended to government to seek help because the economy is sick, either to go to hospital or treat themselves at home. And we have said that if you are sick, you have to treat yourself at home or go to hospital. The hospital, obviously, is the IMF, or you treat yourself at home. And we had warned that if you fail to go to the IMF or treat yourself at home, you end up going to the IMF in an ambulance. Today, we are in IMF in an ambulance. Unfortunately, the government did not listen to us. We think that is ineptitude on the part of the government because all what is going on was avoidable. We could avoid it, and that is why we think it's one of the grounds. So, Chairman, this is a table from the Goldman Sachs, and it speaks volume. It speaks volume. Because, Mr. Chairman, if you look at this table as I presented, and you notice when you were at 80% in 2021, all what Ghana could have done is to do a positive primary balance at 0.0. Don't add to the debt, and in the end, you would have stayed at 0.0. You would have stayed at 80%. Or in other words, you do a primary surplus of 2.7% of GDP, and that will mean that you will decline from the 80% to the 70% within 1 year. Unfortunately, the government decided to go on overdrive, and obviously increase the budget deficit and run this economy into a ditch. Today, the IMF, the World Bank has projected that Ghana's debt will be 105% of GDP. In fact, to be specific, 104.7% of GDP. This means that the fiscal regime, if you are going to move to 70% over 4 years, you have to do a primary surplus of 9.4% of GDP. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to say that looking at the current situation that we find ourselves in, a consolidation of 9.4% of GDP is virtually impossible. Taxes and expenditure cut worth 9.7% of GDP is virtually impossible. For 4 good years, I mean, we'll end up not having a country to run if we are to go this path. So what has happened for us is ineptitude or lack of action on the part of the government. We feel that all this could have been remedied if they had taken action at the right time. When we made the issue, our minister's concern was we are not going to IMF. We won't go to IMF. And the Deputy Minister, Honorable John Kuma, had come to Parliament to say, whatever you do today, tomorrow, the next day, tomorrow morning, next evening, we are not going to IMF. And then 1 week later, we are where we are in IMF. So, Chairman, my major concern is all what we are going through could have been avoided. As I said, crisis may happen, but how you deal with it when you see it is what matters most. So what we are seeing here is self-inflicted, and this could have been avoided. Chairman, on the other point relating to gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, which has occasioned untold and unprecedented hardship. Chairman, the truth is the capital market gave Ghana the benefit of the doubt until 2022. until when the 2022 budget was read. And you agree with me that all this deterioration happened from January to date. And the economy has deteriorated in a manner that you cannot even see it, all within 10 months, for a reason. Chairman, I say this because on the very day that the minister responsible for finance read the 2022 budget in November, that very day, our spreads, the 2032 Ghana bond, in fact, went down by 530 basis points that very day. Because investors had noticed that Ghana is not committed to fiscal consolidation. And most of the assumptions in the budget were not possible. That obviously triggered the capital flow reversals, because the market noticed that I won't be the last person to get out. So most people started getting out. The country started losing reserves. The currency started depreciating, obviously affecting the inflation and everything else. So it started from 2022 on the back of incompetence and ineptitude. And that's why we are saying that all what has happened is gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, and this is what has triggered the hardship in the economy. It's self-inflicted, it is an own goal. This could have been avoided. They scored themselves an own goal, and obviously the ordinary person has to benefit from what has gone on over the years. So this is our consensus.
You appear very clear in your mind that it's all on the back of incompetence. You don't give any room to the back of COVID, no room to the back of the war going on, no room to the other crises, the other external factors that are impinging very negatively on the economy of Ghana. No room for those things?
I think it's a good point. Exogenous factors, as I said, are bound to happen. But what matters most is for you to deal with it and not to sit unconcerned for the train to come and kill you. All of this thing happened, but what matters most was what action did we take to remedy the situation. I have not seen one. I have not seen one. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Else we wouldn't have been where we are.
You are throwing
so,
billions
no,
COVID,
but you see, COVID did not affect Ghana alone. It affects us a pandemic. So how come you run fiscal deficit of almost 17% whilst your neighbors are doing 7% of GDP? Is it because of elections? Is it the question that's the difference between what happened in Ghana in 2022 and what happened in Ivory Coast in 2022? So clearly that's the issue.
The ESLA payments, the take or pay payments for the electricity companies and all those things, they don't matter. They don't factor in all of.
Honorable Katie,
yes.
You see what I have on the table, on the board, the starting debt stock. When you have your debt stock at 80%, and you've put yourself in a debt trap, and there's a possibility that you are going to crack. Let me land. What you have to do is on the board.
No,
you don't get it worse.
No, let's disentangle ourselves from the language you use. You're getting yourself entrapped in that. You are forgetting that I'm getting myself trapped because I have some commitments that I have to settle, some debts created by some other system which I have to settle. Isn't that?
Honestly speaking, government could have avoided this because all what they could do is to cut some expenditures. In fact, cutting the size of government alone could have done this. If you had cut the size of government and reduce the Office of Government Machinery budget alone, as we speak, the staff level at the Office of Government Machinery is unprecedented. It's unprecedented. We have all of this comes to Parliament every year, and the staff level there, you could cut it. Remember, majority of them there, of those guys at the Office of the President are under Article 71. Majority of them are under Article 71. They are more than Parliament. They have created another Parliament at the Flagstaff House. So you could cut it.
I think we can limit the exaggeration. They have hyperbole and all those things.
I think unfortunately, you called for it because we don't. No. Yeah, because you gave other examples that exacerbated the situation, and he's trying to give you counter examples to show why, if management had been done efficiently and effectively. Yes.
The point you made about parliament, creation of other parliaments, what I meant by hyperbole, I mean, there's no other parliament except this particular one.
Well, basically, he's talking about the numbers.
Chairman, and Chairman, to remind the Chairman that just the point that the Honorable Atufo is on, calling on the minister has not been competent enough. In 1999, probably, Katie would have come to Parliament subsequently if he was not there. Victor Salome had come to make a statement on the economic situation in Ghana. And when I say they are making a dichotomy, at the time, their numbers were not even as significant as our 137 that they say they don't respect today, with very low numbers. Dr. Kwenedu Apreku led
like this and you are to get away with it. Who is not respecting your numbers? No. Your numbers are
ranking member of finance just like him moved a motion for our Minister of Finance to resign because he was not competent. So you cannot approbate and reprobate. I just wanted to put that in emphasis. Thank you.
The Honorable Katie Hammond, you are harassing the witness.
Mr. Gochevan, you are not.
You are harassing the witness.
You are not quote unquote BHA whatever properly, Mr.
Why?
Gochevan.
Why?
How can I harass the guy sitting down there? We are here because of the numbers that he says we are not respecting. If we had the proper numbers, you think we'll be sitting here? I'll be sweating like this. No one will be by we don't respect your numbers.
Very well, honourable members. The Honourable Atufo, are you done? Are you done with the presentation of your evidence in relation to items 6 and 7?
Mr. Chairman, to conclude on my presentation.
Very well.
I am a strong believer of the fact that all what we are going through as a country is self-inflicted. It could have been avoided. Mr. Chairman, today what Ghana needs most is what we call confidence. The markets want confidence. Businessmen want confidence. In fact, the international community want confidence. The key point here has to do with confidence. I think the time has come for our minister to step aside to give the country a new breath. It doesn't mean he has not contributed his quota towards the support, the running of the country. He has. But the time has come for him to give the country an opportunity to recover. Him leaving, and I want to plea to him that even the watch seller on the street want him to go. His own party people want him to go. They may not be able to say it, but they want him go. So please, when you are confronted in a situation like that, that everybody thinks that you have to go, we in the minority have no choice than to say that the time has come, and we've laid our grounds. The grounds are technical. They are grounded in evidence. We have shown our evidence. Yes, when Honorable Ejapamesa raised the issue as to whether IMF had sanctioned him. But let me say, the misreporting he did was not to IMF. The misreporting was to Parliament of Ghana. So IMF will not be the one to obviously take you through some punishment. It is us. You have breached the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and I have said, and we have said as a group minority, that this is the basis why we think the Minister of Finance must give Ghana a chance to recover from this mess.
Very well. Honourable Minority Leader, are you going to add to that? Or?
Yes, I will just conclude on item 6. Just build on what he said. Now, when you say excruciating cost of living crisis, Chairman, as you may recall with your members, the President of the Republic himself, Nana Addo Dankwa, had cause to address the Ghanaian citizens. And he said that we have an economic crisis. Now, he also spoke about inflation at levels not witnessed in the last 40 years. Now, what that inflation has done today, yes, I'll paraphrase the President for him.
Counsel, you are not supposed to interrupt the witness.
Give me a copy of the President's address to the nation. I have my copy. I'll quote it for him. I'll quote it in evidence for him what Nana Danko himself said about, yes, here, about inflation. It's in the second page. So, Chairman, I'll come to it. Now, when you have inflation at 40.4%, and Chairman, the essence of this hearing, as we recall, is to make sure that we are not surprising the minister. So I'm tendering in evidence again prices of goods December 2016 to November 2022, which is part of what I gave you in the Hansard. So I may not even need it. Once you admitted the Hansard, that is fine. When you have cement, which used to buy at 18 Ghana cedis, now 95. You see, the incompetence is that a contractor today who is not being paid by the minister is enduring additional costs in respect of procuring cement and iron rods. What will they do? So that cost will also come at a cost to government. And we even fear that many projects may be uncompleted because at the time that you awarded the contracts, you use the market value of these essential commodities like cement, like, let me refer to iron rod, which was around 180 Ghana cedis, now 780, and now petrol, which was at 14 cedis, now 80 Ghana cedis, diesel, which was 14, almost around 100, and even we decide. So there is a cost of living crisis in Ghana, exacerbated by an uncontrolled inflation. And we think that the Honorable Minister for Finance must be held responsible for that. Exogenous factors, yes. That's why I asked the rhetoric question that did you borrow to support the war in Ukraine? Because much of our problem is that you have borrowed excessively, making Ghana a debt-distressed country, unsustainable debt. And Chairman, again, in evidence, I'm sure somebody misled even the president when the president categorically said that there will be no haircut. Why president appoint ministers is that you give him good advice. I'm not sure the president was advised properly to have been categorical that there will be no haircut.
Has there been a haircut? Whatever that means.
If there is tomorrow...
My God is my Baba. Nobody's cut my hair.
You have no hair for a cut.
So which one is that?
Yours, you fit a cigar and pay something on your hair.
The time he'll get a shave.
So
his beard.
We are saying that someone must accept responsibility. You see, it's the borrowing.
But the point you make is crucial. Let's get it.
Yes, so that's what.
Has there been a haircut of any kind? The president said there won't be. You said.
I'm aware that Ghana is drifting towards a restructuring of its debt.
Our own speculation.
I am not a speculator. You know that.
Let's get to facts. Please.
And I say I am not a speculator. You know that. I'm saying that Ghana is inching towards agreeing with its multilateral, bilateral partners.
Arun, I object to that line of you are a big boy in this country, so when such statements start emanating from you, it might, I'm not sure about repercussions. So can we just leave it at that? If there's speculation that it might lead to this and this and this and this and that.
No, but you see, Chairman,
Chairman Harun Edisu, the evidence that you have presented since morning points towards your point about us inching towards that situation. And therefore, it is not merely speculative. It's based upon the situation of having a debt restructuring that will lead to a haircut. That's basically what he's saying. So he's standing on the back of the evidence led this morning about the state of the economy.
Chairman, I will just even end why your committee must take interest in hearing me. You have a country's pension regime, which pensions law and regulations provides that 70% of pension investment are invested in government securities. That has been done. If those securities are threatened, who are we to hold responsible? Because the law provides. And then you have a financial system. You've done cleaning of banks. You may head towards even banks not being able to sustain their liquidity, because many of them invested in those securities, the consequence of a restructuring may destabilize the whole financial system of our country. And I'm just saying that when it comes to pensions and savings, I am concerned of the income and social security of aged persons who are no longer working, who are subjected to ill health and others. So, Chairman, when we say that cost of living and hardship, we're also concerned about what happens to the investment of persons associated with pensions, and even the financial viability of Ghana's banking sector, with the kind of unsustained debt and the attempt to deal with it. And we think that the Honorable Ken Ofurata must be held responsible to that.
Okay.
So I'll end there on
the 6th. Okay. Are you now going to deal with 1, or should we take a round of questions on 6 and 7 before we proceed to your dealing with 1?
I want to be ending it here. So deal with 1.
Will you deal with 1 or not?
I'll deal with 1, but I want to refer you to Article 103 of the Constitution before I deal
as
with
a preliminary matter to 1.
Yeah. Because with 1, I'm going to lead evidence on Data Bank and on Black Star, and in an answer which was answered 22nd June 2022 Hansard, when the Honorable Teresa Ladi Awuni, a member for Okaikwe North, asked the Minister for Finance how much was raised in total from government bonds since 2017, and then the answers that were given, which cumulatively gave us a figure that between that period, Barclays Bank, Ghana, that's not my interest, Data Bank, Fidelity Bank, Data Bank earned some earned from it, and which is the question of the conflict of interest and Black Star line. So we'll tender that in evidence. But may I refer you to Article 103 of the Constitution and probably end it there. And Chairman, is for your committee to take interest that conflict of interest. Our Constitution abhors it, and in 103 it provides that yeah, 103 maybe 103.3. I'm interested, but I'll come to 103.1. Parliament shall appoint standing committees. That's not my interest. And other committees, such as your ad hoc committee. And it says that the Committee of Parliament shall be charged with such functions, including the investigation and inquiry into the activities and administration of ministries, departments. You see, so we must be interested in who issued bonds, who were bond holders, who got what, and who was where. These are all questions that we must answer to in order to satisfy ourselves that conflict of interest, which engenders corruption, was respected. So I end it there, and that will be my submission. Thank you.
Honorable Minority Leader, Council, I'll come to you. Honorable Minority Leader, the answer that you referred to contained the answer of the Minister regarding the question of payments to companies that were related to him. Is that right?
Yeah, including Data Bank.
Okay.
And so when you people use words that allegations, how can ministers' answer to Parliament be an allegation? That means a statement of fact.
No, we agreed here that these are grounds. They are grounds of your motion. So have you tendered the answer in question, in evidence?
With your indulgence, I'll do so.
Well, it's a matter of record before the House, but you are making reference to it for purposes of our evaluation of the evidence we are leading, so that's why. Okay.
But before that, I was asking my colleague here about what you were attempting to do, because at one point we thought you were going back to the 6th, and then you were referring to that. So I think we lost some concentration on that one. So what is the answer that you said has been preferred in what document which relates to your 1? Because I think we should show some interest in the 1. What is the answer that? No, he hasn't finished. No, let him go.
Honorable Minority Leader.
The 1.
No, I just said that
the lawyer wants to come in. If you read the Hansard, I think that some 159 million may have accrued to Data Bank cumulatively between 2017 to 2021.
You're reading that from where?
A parliamentary answer. I'll tender it in evidence for you. Yes, it was a minister answering a question from Teresa Ladi Awuni, which was 22nd June 2022. Thank you.
We'll let you talk. The date. 20 what? 22nd? 2020.
Give to him.
22.
He will bring it to you.
June 22nd.
You are exasperated. So
June 22nd. No, I was just going to make the point about the date for the Hansa. Just for our records. It's June 22nd, 2022. Just for our records.
Yes, Mr. Gabi Ochiridako, Esquire.
Mr. Chairman, we wish to raise a serious objection to the first allegation.
The first ground.
Well, ground allegation, yeah. Regarding conflict of interest. Even before I say that, I think it's important to make the point that the Minister of Finance is perfectly capable and willing to answer questions based on the allegation of conflict of interest. And indeed, he has done so before, in a sense that way back in 2017, I believe, a member of the NDC, Broja Jemfi, took a matter to the Shraj Commission to Shraj specifically about conflict of interest to do with bonds. And his role, may I? May I? Yeah. This was in 2017, and the matter traveled as far as to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled on it. Our issue is that if you go into Article 284 of the Constitution, and Mr. Chairman, I'm not here to question how Parliament or its committees.
You are here to do your
Absolutely.
client's bit.
Absolutely. So I just want to make that point. If you read Article 284, with your permission, it says, a public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with the performance of the functions of his office. Now, if you combine that with Article 287, and if I may read, it says, an allegation that a public officer has contravened or has not complied with a provision of this chapter shall be made to the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj. And in the case of the Commissioner of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, to the Chief Justice and the rest of it. But a relevant part is that when a public officer is to face any charge or any allegation or any ground of conflict of interest, it is Shraj that the Constitution says must deal with it. And if I may carry it a little further, there's a case that I think we're all familiar with, Okujetu Ablakwa number 2, and Attorney General Obechabi Lamte number 2, 2012 Supreme Court report, at page 845. And just for the purposes of this, let me just quote. And this was JSC Brobe. The complaint of conflict of interest made by the plaintiffs against public officers or the officials of the Lands Commission and those of the Ministry of Water, Resources, Works and Housing would be dismissed because specific remedy had been provided under Article 287 of the 1992 Constitution, which required complaints of conflict of interest against public officers to be exclusively investigated by the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and in the case of a complaint against the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice by the Chief Justice. So he
laid down his 7 guidelines.
Yes.
He laid down his 7 guidelines. I think we're taking notice of that. What is the point that you make on that?
So, like I said, to go back to the point, the Minister of Finance has gone before Shraj, where Shraj investigated an allegation of conflict of interest and ruled in his favor. Even when this matter was challenged, he went as far as to the Supreme Court. He is not afraid to deal with any matter of conflict of interest. In fact, he's more than competent and capable, and he believes that he has...
That we don't have the jurisdiction to deal with that matter.
Absolutely.
All right, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
And I think that this committee should take full knowledge and cognizance of the fact that it is a constitutional matter. There are appropriate forum, and that appropriate forum is Shraj, not Parliament or a committee of Parliament.
Okay. Council, 2 questions. The Honourable Minority Leader referred to the functions of committees under Article 103, Clause 3 of the Constitution, which includes the powers of investigation into the activities of ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, would you consider transactions involving the finance minister and related companies an activity of the ministry? So that's my first question. Second question, I want you to avert your mind to Article 287 that you have cited. In that article, in terms of its own internal logic, all right, if there is a written admission by the person alleged to have engaged in conflict of interest, the investigative power of Shraj does not arise. So would you consider the subsequent statement that was made in Parliament as a written admission of the contravention by your client?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
That's Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, with some clarity, answering a question on the floor of Parliament, does it amount to an admission of of conflict?
Mr. Chairman, I wanted myself to be very clear about the nature of the question you put to counsel and whether he himself appreciated the question, not the import, but the question, because I wasn't so sure.
Yes, I have. I appreciate
the point that he made.
I appreciate it, but I do not agree with it. But I appreciate the question.
I would want you to answer that to the appreciation of the committee.
Absolutely.
That is.
Like I said, I'm not here to question the workings of this House. Not at all. I'm here to state a constitutional... I'm here to state a constitutional position.
Sure, but Mr. Co-Chairman, that's my counsel. Mr. Co-Chairman, I think the point that is troubling my colleagues here, I see that everybody is on this app, is this, that the finance minister came to Parliament to answer to a specific question. Yes. Did he come to make admissions that he is benefited from, unlawfully, illegally from a position
Chairman,
of conflict?
nobody used the word unlawfully or illegally.
I have decided to introduce that.
Yes, so those are your words.
Conflict.
We are saying that...
I haven't attributed those words to you.
Yes, so conduct may be... And Chairman, when I relied on Article 103, lucid explanation from him on Article 287 on jurisdictional issue and quoting justice,
sure.
Probate. That's for your committee to decide.
Sure.
But my understanding is that this committee is not only to hear us, you have the power to do further inquiry into all borrowing government debt. Who got what, when, and how, and who was in what position. That's what I'm submitting. So don't just take it on the face that...
I don't believe that we have that wide spectrum.
No, I think so. You can say you don't.
Okay.
But I think so that, for instance, all the domestic bonds we are done through book building, Euro bonds, who got what? We must be interested in it. And whether in your inquiry it engendered conflict of interest or not. I'll leave it there. So thank you very much.
No, we need to get you.
I admire and respect his reference to the
constitutional
Supreme
provisions.
Court. Lucid, as I said, lucid.
Yes.
But that is for your committee to decide whether you have jurisdiction or not, guided by the Supreme Court ruling. But mine is that this committee is clothed with authority and mandate to probe wider, to understand that whether in these instances of borrowing, persons in public office, directly or indirectly, benefited or not from those transactions.
You say your number one ground,
you.
you call it grounds. I have a difficulty describing this as grounds, but ground, despicable conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic woes. So Ghana's economic woes from Kwame Nkrumah's time, I take it, as his companies receive commissions and other...
Honorable Ketiamon, are you rewriting the ground? Because you are adding from Kwame Nkrumah. There is no from Kwame Nkrumah.
It doesn't stipulate. Yeah, it doesn't stipulate when it started. Ghana's economic woes. Yesterday I was reading a case and was referring to Ghana's woes in 1972. So which one are we talking about? You said Ghana's economic woes.
There is a reference. There is a direct reference to the actions of the finance minister in item 1.
Yeah, but that's what I'm reading, and it says that economic woes.
Yes, so
what is the reference point of our woes? We'll deal with that.
That ensures that he directly benefits.
Yes,
who is he in this context?
Directly benefits.
Honorable.
Companies receive commission and other unethical advantage, particularly from Ghana's debt advantage. Are you saying that we should throw through all the books, all the bonds, and then to come out with where his company has benefited?
No.
Sammy, we've got to be careful.
So thank you, Chairman.
He said that, come on, let me make listen, when chairman is talking, I think he has the liberty to complete whatever he wants to say before others. Well, yes, co-chair. Yeah, co-senior chair.
Okay, well, you are my senior in parliament, but you are my junior at the bar.
When were you called to the bar?
I was called to the bar in October 1995.
And you called yourself a senior? I was called to the Bar of England and Wales in November 1991.
Well, an English lawyer has no license to practice in Ghana.
Listen to me. I was exempted from the whatever bar here and granted my exemption to practice at the Bar of Ghana. What are you talking about?
When were you called to the Bar of Ghana?
I repeat that. He said 1991, 1996.
1995.
What you said 1995? I was granted exemptions in Ghana in 1997. You don't take me for a baby. 1991, where was he?
So you are 2 years. You are 2 years my junior.
You are out of order. Completely out of order. Yes. Okay. So what the point that you were making is that you think that by this remit, everything is encapsulated. I don't seem to understand. We can't go through all of that.
I raised the point, and then I raised a point of conflict of interest in our ground 1. Then I heard Gabi, counsel for Kenofurata, make reference to a lucid judgment and constitutional matter on jurisdiction. But you have ended it all. Could the appetite for borrowing have been a function of an incentive because other institutions and bodies were gaining from it?
Chairman. Yes, I will come to you. I think the honourable member has a point to make. Yes, Honourable Kwame Inodu.
Right. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to find out from the sponsors of the motion if they have actually exhausted their points. If they have, I think you asked us to hold on with our questions. Then you can now allow us to ask the questions. Now, to me, if you would be aided, I think that all these other constitutional provisions that you cite, we are coming under Article 82. And Article 82, the motion has been moved amongst other things, these were the reasons that the sponsors adduced to actually support their point. And then Mr. Speaker had referred these matters to this committee that we should deal with these matters. Now, we are making an attempt to actually import other things. They have stated their grounds, and they have spoken to the grounds. And if they say they have finished with their grounds, it shouldn't be the duty of the committee to actually find out what else are you bringing along. If that is all they are saying to their
let's get it right. The reason why this matter is debated is because council raised a constitutional argument. Listen, we are bound by the constitutional imperatives. So, well, the Parliament of Ghana is bound by constitutional imperatives. For that matter, this committee. So, if he's right, he's saying that that matter can't be discussed at all. That's the point that he's raising, if I understand him. That even though it is raised here, if he is right by the objections it's raised, well, they may have raised it, but it shouldn't factor into our equation, and that we disregard that one and deal with the other matters. I suspect that is the point that you are making.
Mr. Chairman, that is the point that I'm making. But I think it's important as to whatever happened in Hansard, if the Minister of Finance was called by Parliament to answer a question, let's try and create a distinction between that and facing a vote of censure, specifically on the issue of conflict of interest. Let's try and draw a distinction. Being asked to come and answer a question in Parliament is different from facing a vote of censure on a specific charge or allegation of conflict of interest. And I believe that if we are going to look into this matter, then respectfully, this is not the right forum. And I think my point is clear. And I saw my good friend Okujato Blackwell actually nodding to it, so I'm sure.
Well, I don't think that he was nodding in agreement.
Agreement. Well, for the record, I wasn't nodding in agreement.
But in the mention of your name? Was that to the mention of your name?
I was just confirming that indeed that was a matter that we took to the Supreme Court in a conversation here. So yes, I know the case. I took the matter.
You respect the case,
and it was a matter that has been well established. So I was just confirming that. But Mr. Chairman, I don't think that Council should now get into my head and be guessing why I'm nodding.
Well, I hope there's space.
Thank you. Honorable Anyefo.
Co-chairs, thank you very much. I guess we are at a stage where an objection has been raised. The record is very clear that a motion has been moved on the floor of Parliament based on 7 grounds. Now, by Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution, particularly 82(4), the minister is supposed to be heard in defense during the debate. Instead of the speaker, the minister coming to the floor of Parliament to be heard, it was referred to a committee. So we are supposed to give a hearing to the minister responsible. If you give the opportunity to the minister responsible to be heard based on the grounds referred to the committee, the minister is at liberty to tell the committee that this matter, he wouldn't want to be heard on it because the committee doesn't have jurisdiction to it. And that will form part of our records. It can form part of our records, and then we'll report to the plenary section that yes, among the grounds referred to us is ground 1, which states clearly that despicable conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghanaians' economic woes as his companies receive commissions and other unethical contractual advantage, particularly from Ghana's debt overhang. So it will form part of our record that regarding this particular issue, let me land. Well, regarding this particular issue, the minister doesn't want to be heard on this, and nobody will force the minister to be heard.
No, it doesn't work like that. We heard your point, Mr. Co-Chairman. This is a matter for us, the committee, to decide. Council is raised a constitutional point. Now, constitutional for Parliament operates within the ambit of the Constitution. It's a very serious point this is raised, buttressed by a decision of the Supreme Court. It says that this matter should not be before us. Simplicity, that is his point.
Yes,
so we have to decide whether he's right or not.
Okay, I think we can decide that.
One second. I disagree fundamentally with a colleague when he suggests that we should leave that to the minister to say to us whether he wants to respond to that or not. He can't do that. It's not for him to tell us. Well, if he says he will not respond to anything, that is fine. No, that's fine. But on this one, constitutionally, the argument by his lawyer is that this committee cannot deal with that. We will take a decision and tell the plenary that by our decision and our understanding of the Constitution, it should not be a matter before us. Because the Constitution has made it pretty clear that when it comes to it, then supported by the decision of the Supreme Court, no, what do you think we are doing here? Listen, let's get something right. We are guided. You keep saying that we are a house of records and a house of whatever. Part of the records is the Constitution. Yes. The supreme law of this whole country. But so if you say you know, why do you then suggest that if it is against what we are doing, we should do it?
Honorable Co-Chair, I think it's a matter that we as a committee will take a decision on. But I want to make it clear that under Article 82(4) of the Constitution, the minister is supposed to be heard. In Parliament, to be heard in his defense
on unconstitutional matters.
Honorable Katie Hammond, please allow me to land. So he's supposed to be allowed to be heard during the debate. That is the language of the Constitution. Now, this committee is an extension of Parliament. And because it's an extension of Parliament, to say that the matter of conflict of interest cannot be raised here is to say that Parliament can never raise that issue on the floor. That argument would be clearly unconstitutional. In and of itself, that argument will be clearly unconstitutional, that Parliament will not be allowed to debate the issue of conflict of interest. And that is why I wanted to direct your attention to the answer provided by the minister himself. That answer related to payments that were received by his companies whilst he was, in his capacity as finance minister. And he made, statements in Parliament admitting that 159 million,
we haven't seen that document.
they have received payments, totaling 159 million.
That document, which the Hansard, and let's all have a good read at it.
So that is a matter of record before Parliament. It's a matter of record before this committee.
Chairman, with respect, I hear the co-chair make the point that the finance minister, in answering the question, admitted that some funds had been paid to the company in which he had an interest. Does that, under any stretch of the imagination, amount to he admitting that that was conflict of interest? I don't think so.
Well, I don't even need to use my imagination.
No, but of course, that's not what the finance
that is a matter of fact.
Okay, no, it's not.
It's a factual record before Parliament. Please, with all due respect, that is a factual record before Parliament.
With respect.
Were the payments made to Data Bank or not?
But the fact that
were the payments made, honorable member, please.
Bank receives payments.
You are challenging my authority, please.
They are under a conflict of interest. That's the point that I'm making.
He's trying to appreciate. He's
it
not
does
challenging
not
your authority.
mean that at all. With respect.
I am myself trying to understand what Aruna referred to. Arun, this is what a question, answer to a question raised by Teresa Ladi, and asking how much was paid to the minister himself in breach of his ministerial functions or what? What has it been?
Chairman, I'm not a member of the committee. I'm only appearing before the committee.
Well, you raise a matter, we're trying to deal with you, and now you are saying that you are not a member.
And he has raised an objection. It's for your committee to take a decision on it.
Well, we would, but try and help to the extent that you can. You've introduced some fire in here. We're trying to extinguish it, and now you are trying to opt out. You can't. Stay in there, let's deal with it.
Opt out of what? I tendered that in evidence, and I've even expanded your remit that per Article 103 of the Constitution, we should be interested in who did what. So that's within the mandate of it.
Honorable Minority Leader, with all due respect, because you have tendered the evidence, we are allowed as a committee to obtain your assistance in explaining the relevance or otherwise of the evidence that you've tendered, because the basis of admissibility of evidence is relevance. So if we can ask you to draw the linkage that you are trying to establish, that will be very helpful to the committee.
Because, Mr. Chairman, you yourself keep saying that he's made some admissions, so you are holding him to his admissions. So we're trying to make sense of it. To what extent does this constitute admission of guilt?
Chairman, I've submitted it to you. Okay, let me hear Chairman Anyimedu.
Suggestion. Co-chairs, may I plead with you that this objection that had been made, maybe tomorrow morning, the committee will meet in camera and advise the co-chairs. Then we can proceed and ask the questions since they have already finished with their submission. I agree with your indulgence.
Okay, that's a very helpful suggestion. Honorable members, I think.
Why should that be tomorrow then? When the other members are gone, cameras are gone, we will be here. We will be here to deal with this matter. We won't leave it to tomorrow.
Yes.
Chair, I think it's important to find out if the answers provided by the Honorable Finance Minister on the 22nd of June, which has been tendered in that Hansard, are they in any way distancing themselves? Do they have any reservation? Are they standing by it? Yes, because the question was very clear. Because we must know that's a record of the House.
Yes, sir. Counsel, have you had the occasion to read what is it that is in question that we are struggling with?
I have not.
Would you want to take the necessary 2 minutes to read it?
I can do, but I think it's important that we draw and maintain that distinction.
I understand your point entirely.
Yes.
My case is a different one.
I'm happy to read it,
Yeah.
but we should understand that he was not facing a vote of censure.
I understand that.
And he was not facing an allegation of conflict of interest, which will lead to a decision being taken
I understand that.
whether or not he should be removed.
I understand all of that. I wanted you to be able to read it, confer with him whether he knows what is in here, so we can at least make whatever argument.
Very well.
Let's pass it on. It's only a short whatever, so pass it on to him. Let's see if. No, it's marked, so he can. So clear with him if he's aware of that.
So, Chairman, whilst he's at it, I'm sure for today, me and I'll lead evidence only on one other item. Debt. Debt, national debt. How he has tried the economy with national debt. Oh, Chairman, we can leave it here, but he's raised an important constitutional matter. It's for your committee to do further inquiry, but limit yourself, as he has said, within the limitations of the Constitution.
Well, if we want you to whatever help us, we will tell you. For now, I think you can relax.
Okay. So, yes, honorable members, do you have questions for the two witnesses? Honorable Ejapa Mensah. No. Honorable Okucheto, you had your hand first. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to begin with the National Cathedral, or is it the President's Cathedral, whatever it is. And this is for the Honorable Leader. Honorable Leader, do you have an idea by the records available in this House how much exactly the total cost of the National Cathedral is? Because I have all of these publications here. Finance Minister said 14 November 2019, $100 million. Secretary to the Board of Trustees says $200 million by 1st August 2021. The chairman of the Board of Trustees, Professor Boko Nyina, says it's now $250 million by 6 September 2021. And it shot up to $350 million. Ricardo de Eca, the contractors, also claim it's $400 million. All kinds of figures escalating, appears to be a moving target. Do you have an idea how much exactly the National Cathedral cost?
Chairman, the honorable member should appreciate why we are here. I may not have the cost of the cathedral. I'm concerned about how those monies were spent. Was it with the authorization of Parliament or not? Was that expenditure in accord with the Constitution or not? Knowing myself, and let me use this forum, Chairman, to point out clearly, because I share the same burden with the Chairman, a respected Ahmadis. Wholeheartedly, even me, I will contribute in supporting a cathedral. I don't have any problem with supporting persons being given opportunity to worship their God and know their Lord. I have no difficulty at all. But should it be done with public resources or with private resources? And my view is that if it is to be done, even with public resources, come clear. Let us know the cost, value for money, where the money is coming from, how much is dedicated, and let Parliament give approval for it. So let nobody go and say that Haruna Idrisu, minority leader, and the Honorable Atu forcing against Cathedral. No, we are consummate believers and respecters of freedom of conscience to exercise the right to freely practice your faith. But in establishing it, let's honor God in a manner that is honorable. How much are you spending? I can provide that details. I don't have the drawing. I'm not a quantity surveyor to know that. But I'm saying that how was the money spent? And then when I drive there every day when I'm coming from work or when I close, how much money you have poured on the ground? And when you say, Chairman, they will say you are adding new additional issues. It's like Agenda 111 hospitals. If you go around the country, contractors have just taken money from government and abandoned site. Some of them, grass is still at the sides, grass. Yet, monies have been released for people in the name of going to build hospitals for the Ghanaian people from taxpayers. We shouldn't take the public for granted. So, when you pass by a cathedral, be interested in how much money have been spent and the state of work of the cathedral. So, when there is a church ceremony there tomorrow, I'll attend and I'll sing "It Is Well," but not and it to be well, but not to create an impression as if we are not for it. No, we are saying that was authorization given by who? By Parliament. And I refer to Dr. Ayeni's own comment when we're passing the budget for that particular year. I mean, what you must do is let's know allocation. Then we know when those releases are done, nobody will raise an issue. So thank you very much. I'm sure, Chairman, if there are any further questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
The Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa still has some questions. How many questions do you have?
About 6 questions, Chairman.
About 6 questions?
Yes.
On the National Cathedral.
And the cost of living, the alarming incompetence.
Yes.
But
On each item.
On each item.
Honorable Imedu.
I'm dealing with
yes,
3 items.
It was that you you asked 3 questions on each of the items. So since they combined, they combined 2 items. We can do 6, can't we? Yes.
Yeah, Chair. Thank you very much. The Honorable Atufosin, still on the National Cathedral, you indicate that Article 178 has been breached. There was no authorization by Parliament. I have heard some government communicators say that perhaps the finance minister can come under contingency and do what he has done. Is that a view you share? Does a contingency fund under our constitutional arrangement allow a finance minister to do what has happened in this instant case?
Thank you very much. I'm not aware that a contingency fund in particular can be used for such a project. The Constitution is clear on how contingency fund can be used. And for the minister responsible for finance to be able to use the contingency fund, he would need the approval of the Finance Committee of Parliament. You recall that during the COVID era, the finance minister appeared before us, got approval under the constitution requirement of the contingency fund, and Parliament approved. So I am not aware that the Ministry of Finance appeared before the Committee of Finance, of which I'm the ranking member, and we consider such a thing. So obviously it can't be contingency fund.
Chairman, just to add up, this Honorable Okujoto Ablakwa, why do you have to budget for a cathedral? 3 economic reasons. It is a phase-out project. You cannot finish it in 1 year. So every year you must budget that I'll spend X amount to get to this level of the project. So once you conceptualize it well and cost it, then you know a project will be completed in 18 months, 24 months, and then you are able to follow. So it's important that it is budgeted for. It is equally important that Parliament annually approve the budgetary allocations, because for this year, maybe you perform up to 30% level. The following year, you add up to 80%, and then you keep it going. So if you are talking about contingency, the danger is that if tomorrow you don't make provision for them for contingency because you have floods in the country, what happens to the project? Must it come to a standstill? So get it well, start it well, and end it well. That is what we are saying. Our concern is the Parliament of Ghana, which exercises oversight over the public purse. Did you warrant approval of allocation of money for the cathedral? And if you did, we'll then ask you what is the cost of the cathedral. So the question you are asking me, in allocating budget, you must know how much it will cost you in doing so. Thank you.
And then, Sami, if the Ministry of Finance use the contingency fund or whatever votes they use, it will show on the warrant where they are picking the money from. So if you have the warrant, you can track it and you'll be able to see. The specific warrant will show you where they are picking the votes from.
Is it my understanding that you are also concerned about all the fiscal exposure, the burden that has accrued to the taxpayer? Judges' bungalows demolished, they have to be replaced, extra cost. Judicial Training Institute demolished, they have to be replaced. Private institutions like COMSIS, the IT firm, demolished. They are entitled to compensation. Another company called Waterstone Realty. And indeed, I have the Waterstone Realty High Court case here where there's a looming judgment debt in excess of $50 million. Are you concerned about all of these attendant costs that have come about because of the recklessness of the finance minister in this particular case.
I did know that the finance minister is becoming a demolisher, so it's going about demolishing buildings and creating.
Mr. Chairman,
finance minister.
It is for this reason. It is for this reason why it was prudent on the part of the government and the finance minister to have come clean for us to know the total cost for the construction of the cathedral. Unfortunately, as we speak, no one, and I mean no one, we, the members of parliament, with the power of the purse, we do not have any knowledge on the cost of the cathedral. To compute the total cost of the cathedral, it is not only the build cost. Sometimes you have to even value the land and the build back, and obviously other things you have to do so that we know the exact cost of the cathedral. And the need to prioritize it, whether it is priority of priority as said by the president or not, and to seek the approval of parliament. Clearly, the power of the purse is not with the executive, it is with parliament. So it is only parliament that can approve the expenditure of this nature. Unfortunately, I have not cited any kind of expenditure of this magnitude. So it will be very difficult for me to say that this is the total cost of the cathedral. But I'm honestly concerned about the fiscal impact going forward. And obviously the project has started. One way or the other, something must be done with it. Are we going to abandon it, or we are going to spend more money on it as against school feeding, or as against what? At the times of major crisis of this nature, what are we going to do?
Are you also concerned about the contract to Sir David Ajay, the architect, who we are told that we owe $23.75 million on this National Cathedral project, which is now a burden to the taxpayer? Has this come to your attention, and are you concerned about that?
I'm afraid I need to actually come in at this time. I was expecting that you would allow some questions and disallow some questions. This attitude of they have actually come out with itemized points, 1 to 7. They have spoken to these points. They've made their points. This attitude of this style of questioning, of filling in gaps or things that have not been adduced by the proponents of the motion, I am uncomfortable of that. I am very much uncomfortable.
I accept it entirely. I mean, you see, that is the whole business that we were worried about. You see, it looks like we, as part of the committee too, are helping them with some more evidence. Not our business. They are the proponents of this. They have come up with their evidence. Maybe we'll restrict ourselves to what they have come up with, not the other bits. See, that's why I confiscated one of your documents. So let's see. Anyway, you've asked so many questions. We're tired.
Mr. Chairman, is that his form of re-examination or something?
Everybody's complaining now, so it's getting uncomfortable. Let's see how you go back.
He's asking follow-up questions with respect to the payments, all payments in connection with the National Cathedral.
Full picture. It's important to have the full picture.
So it's not a re-examination.
Yeah, this is about the National Cathedral.
Mr. Chairman, we object to this strongly. If he can hold a press conference to deal with those matters, but I think that we are here for a specific reason. Grounds have been stated. Let's stick to that. You know, we are not here for it's not a political platform to make some political pronouncements. These are serious allegations. Please,
he will not teach me how to do my work in Parliament.
No,
this is Parliament. You won't teach me how to do my work.
Let me finish.
No, he can't come here and throw his weight about. He can't teach me how to do my work. I take strong exception that I should go and hold a press conference. Please.
I'm only 78 kilos.
Please.
I'm not going to throw it about.
Please. I won't accept that.
Yes.
And you are not the chair. You don't tell members of parliament what to do.
That's fine. So, I mean, we appreciate the point.
I will do my work. I'm not going to hold a press conference. You will not teach me how to do my work.
I think we made a point. There have been quite a few questions already. But if we don't have Well, we're listening to the tenor of the next two questions. Well, let's hear him first.
Mr. Chairman,
we haven't heard what he's going to say.
Mr. Chairman, I think that those who appear before this committee must be guided. We work with standing orders. And if you go through our standing orders, this committee can decide not to hear strangers. It's very clear. Standing order 2022.
Who is the stranger now? Who is the stranger now?
No. Once you are not a member of parliament, that is how the standing order describes it.
So who is the stranger? Who is the stranger?
That is how the standing order describes it.
I think. Allow Sami to answer for himself. Who is the stranger?
Please, I mean, you can't come and say we can go and hold press. We are working, and we are here to do our job. So please, let that be clear.
Yeah, that's fine. It's clear.
Mr. Chairman, this National Cathedral project, we are discussing fiscal recklessness, which has brought us where we are. There are all manner of incidental costs associated to this project. There's an architect we owe $23,750,000. This is a letter from the office of the president, a contract with this architect. It is all part of the cost. There's a looming judgment debt in excess of $50 million. These are not matters that I'm conjuring. They are matters that the people of this country.
The point is already clearly made about the constitutionality of the withdrawals to finance the bit that has already been paid for. I mean,
not approved by this House. And I'm asking the proponents if these are matters that have come to their attention and if they are concerned about them. It's a legitimate question.
I would have thought that they answered that already. They know all about it. The proponents, they know all about what there is to know, and they've answered. So what is the... Can we go on to the next question if there's any more?
Well, thank you, Chairman. I'm glad that our records will reflect these very vital documents and financial exposures to the Ghanaian taxpayer. My next question relates to the alarming incompetence and ineptitude of the finance minister. Items 4, 5, and 6.
No, Sami, you can't do that. I mean, we answered all these questions. We posed the questions they've answered, and we're going back for you to ask all these many questions. No. Who are you asking the questions to? You're asking them what are they?
Chairman, can I be allowed to ask a question?
No, I can't. You cannot be allowed to ask any question. I'm asking the basis for the questions. Because I understood us who have had the opportunities to ask the questions.
Item number 7.
So you go to the 7.
Yes, item number 7. The gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy. The Honorable Ranking Member for the Finance Committee has provided some data. I want to find out from the Ranking Member if he shares the view, and this question relates to our ratings, which have plummeted. The worst ratings this country has ever received at the hands of the rating agencies, Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's. The President appears to suggest that we are being treated unfairly in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly. I want to find out from the Honorable Ranking Member regarding our downgrades. Is that a view he shares? Do you think that Africa is being treated unfairly by these rating agencies, and specifically Ghana?
Some presupposes that we all know what the President said. What did the President say?
The President, in his address to the United Nations General Assembly, thought that the rating agencies, he was quite categorical, that they have not been fair to African countries. And he refers to Ghana's downgrade. So I want to find out if that's a view shared by the ranking member on the Finance Committee.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I personally think that the President is not probably getting the required briefs. I say this for a simple reason that I think the rating agencies were late in the day in the downgrades, because I believe the market started reacting way before the rating agencies started acting. The market, in fact, downgraded us in their view beginning from November 2021 through to all the way to the time the rating agencies came on board. I've said publicly that the rating agencies were late in the day. In fact, on the very day that the government wrote to the Africa Union complaining about the ratings, subsequent to that, other rating agencies downgraded Ghana. Last week, I heard Fitch and the head of risk saying that in the coming months, they are preparing to downgrade Ghana further to RD. RD more or less means that default.
Mr. Chairman,
that for me,
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, this is not a committee for hearsay. You can't go on a wild goose chase and be speculating. Please.
You see the reaction of your colleagues.
That you heard.
Yeah, so.
From where? Where is the record? There's
I can give you the record if you want.
No, you heard where?
Mr. Chairman, let me give you the record.
No. You hear. Okay, so don't say you hear. Don't tell us what you want to tell us.
Mr. Chairman, I will never come to a committee like this, of this structure, and come and obviously speculate. I wouldn't do that. That is not in my DNA. I'm a gentleman, and I would never do that. Mr. Chairman,
so let's hear the other way,
Mr. Chairman,
the other way around.
This is a statement from Fitch on their website. This is a statement that Fitch granted an interview to Bloomberg, and they made that clear statement. I will not conjure it coming from, and they use the word they will be downgraded to RD. You can even Google it on Ghana Web or somewhere else. I'm sure they picked it from there. So they themselves, it's not coming from me. So it's coming. It is coming from Fitch, rating agency that government of Ghana has contracted.
We'll have a look. We'll have a look at it and see what it's worth. For what it's worth, yeah, we'll have a look at it.
Chairman, my final question.
They haven't downgraded us.
Honorable Ranking Member, earlier a colleague on this committee tried to create the impression that the delay in passing the e-levy is the cause of the current economic woes that we have been plunged into. Is that a view you share? What's your own appraisal of the situation?
Who said that?
The Honorable Mesa said that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I disagree vehemently with that statement from our colleague, the Honorable Ejapamesa.
All right, you're giving your answer.
I say this for a simple reason that the e-levy policy was bound to fail. After it was passed, they couldn't generate the revenue.
I don't think it is fair when you answer the question to take us along the road.
No, but Mr. Chairman, if a question is asked, I should explain why I disagree.
We've taken your answer. You said you disagree.
So that I can give you the breakdown why I disagree.
That's fine. Thank you. Any more questions? Yeah, sorry. Wait a minute. Yes, let's go to him. We'll come back to you. Let him. He's a bit upset. I want him to calm down. So let him go. Yeah, go on.
Thank you. Honorable, you put a figure on the screen. If I may be privileged to have, there was something that you said we are getting to 80% of the GDP, and that's the finance minister ought to have done something. I want that on the screen. My question is based on that. You're on there.
So
now,
honorable comment.
I think they are trying to put it up.
Okay, which of the items are you dealing with? No, in terms of the grounds.
I'm not a proponent of the motion, so I don't.
Well,
I want clarity from a statement that he made. And he was saying that, I don't remember which ground, but he has said that Ghana had got into, I think that was when he summed item 6. Yes, this is right. Honorable Atufo, please, with the greater respect, I believe you are the author of this document.
I am not the author of this document. This document is coming from Goldman Sachs Global Investment Research, and you can see it underneath it.
Okay, so this is somebody's. I do not appreciate the body that is giving this suggestion, but I would want to believe that you believe in this this paragraph that you have actually shown.
Of course, I believe in it.
And that if you were, for instance, a minister in charge, you could have gone by these suggestions. Is that your only reason why you think that the finance minister must be censored because he didn't go by what you ought to have done?
I'm sorry to say that is not my only reason. We have given you 7 grounds. I have taken you through 4 grounds myself, and that cannot be the only reason. This is one of the reasons that I believe the Minister of Finance must go through the censure motion. I have said that if he had acted, Ghana wouldn't have been where we are today. And I've said that the problems we are facing, economic hardships that the country is going through, to the extent that our livelihood has been eroded, I believe that if we had acted back in the year 2021, Ghana wouldn't have been where we are. We could have remedied the situation. And that is why I put that graph out there.
Chairman, Honorable Anyumedu, I appreciate your question, but just to
put a question to you, Harun, he hasn't. You are completely out of order.
No, we are together on debt.
No, just go on. He's not protecting anybody. He's
no.
Not protecting anybody. Go, Harun.
No,
it's not your debt yet. Let him finish.
There is a question on debt.
Yes. No, unfortunately, Honorable Katie Amon, I will say me Peka Sadudu.
Yeah, come on.
No, my tree is no good.
Go on.
Okay, you would agree with me that this suggestion, which you believe that it could have saved Ghana, is not the only suggestion on this earth to save the situation in which Ghana was.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When a country...
So I have to contextualize this for the Honorable Atu to explain. You see, debt to GDP. We share our data. Chairman, in 2016, Ghana's debt to GDP was 55.6%. It increased to 55.5 or lower to 55.5 in 2017. In 2018, our debt to GDP was 57.6%. The explanation in 2018 why it was lowered was because the economy was rebased. They rebased the economy. 2019, debt to GDP 62.4%. 2020, 76.1%. 2021, 83%. And the World Bank is projecting that by 2022, it may be 104%. So we simply with this, yes, it may be his way of resolving it, are saying that the Honorable Minister for Finance have plunged Ghana into a debt crisis. With debt crisis, allows us only to spend more on debt service. So by the time the Honorable Minister for Finance spends money on just 3 items, amortization and interest on loans and compensation, he exceeds his revenue. That again, Chairman, because it's a question we have to explain. When you take e-levy, as Honorable Mensah said, you see the problem with e-levy is that the minister had projected 6.9 billion as out then for his revenue. He projected that into 2023 and to 2024 in medium-term expenditure framework for the budget. Where is that money going to come from when he's only making 416 or 500 million? And that's why the President of the Republic himself was concerned when he said that he wants to up revenue from 13% to 18%. Have we come or we have gone? When you are bringing e-levy, you say it will up revenue from 13 to 18%.
No one is succeeded in collapsing the e-levy. What did you expect?
No.
You never contributed to that, and you assisted the whole of the nation that we collapsed it. I asked the question had not been answered, and other things have been said. Chairman, permit me to actually take him on.
No, let him take me on. I'm ready. Thank you, Chairman.
Because he who does not believe in God, there's no need persuading him with Jesus. You had already said that e-levy you wouldn't be part of it.
Yes, but I think heckling the witness is not something. He was heckling the witness.
Well, it's unfortunate that he wouldn't even let him complain. I'm not sure he answered the question that was meant for Ato. He hijacked it and wouldn't answer the question anyway. Oh. All right, let's see if Ato, can you try it again? Take it. It will come to you. As soon as he finishes, Mensah will come to you. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, there are 5 ways to deal with debt overhang. When a country finds itself in an unsustainable debt situation, there are 5 ways you can deal with it. Number 1, you grow out of the debt. Obviously, Ghana is not in a position to grow out of the debt, so that is off the table. Number 2, inflate the debt away. As to whether we can inflate the debt away is impossible at this stage because of the nomenclature of Ghana's debt. It's not possible. Third option is for you as a country to consider repaying the debt through fiscal adjustment. Fiscal adjustment, and that is what I've put out there, that Ghana had a chance to repay the debt through fiscal adjustment. And the only way we could do is not to increase the expenditure or continue the fiscal recklessness. Or what we could have done at the time was to do fiscal consolidation. We failed to do that. Now the option left for us is either to go through debt repression, fiscal repression, or probably to restructure our debt. So now, and no wonder people are talking of debt restructuring. The truth is, whether we like it or not, because we've missed this golden opportunity, people will have to get some form of haircut or some form of debt restructuring. That is what is happening.
Seems to have a whole input into the budget, into the IMF program, and all that. I seem to know quite a lot about it, don't you? Have you finished, Honorable?
But that's why he's a ranking member on finance.
I didn't know that he's contributing to the budget preparation, the IMF, whatever.
Yes, but he's on top of his brief so that he can represent the minority on financial matters.
Have you finished? Yes, Mensah.
Mr. Chairman, my name has been mentioned twice with respect to the point that I made on Parliament breaching Section 22 of the PFMA. And the point that I made really had nothing to do with the performance or the outturn of the e-levy. It has everything to do with what the law enjoined Parliament to do by a certain date, failing which we all knew there would be consequences. So the point I'm making is that to the extent that Parliament failed to pass the law by 31st December as enjoined by the law, okay, we knew that the ratings agencies were going to downgrade. But you cannot approve the budget, approve the appropriations, and fail to approve the revenue measures. That's the law.
No, respectfully, Chairman.
So
Parliament is not a rubber stamp.
We knew very well that there will be consequences.
You can't assume that anything you bring to Parliament will be approved.
That's the point. But you approved the budget.
Automatic.
No?
It's not automatic.
Was the budget approved or not? Was the appropriations approved or not?
We made clear that we were opposed to the levy.
Some person answer series amongst us. You're all out of order. Doctor, were you going to say something? Yes, go on. Yeah, go on. And then rubber stamp.
Thank you, co-chairs. Can we please? If I may ask, on the issue, you mentioned a company, Jubilee Holding, as one company that's neither in the consolidated fund nor a subsidiary of the GMPC. Are there other companies that have come to your notice that are similar to this? Because you referred to point 3, illegal...
No. See, this is the point that we're making. They've been very specific. They are interested in a specific company.
Co-Chair, please let me finish my question because you'll understand why I'm asking this.
Okay.
Illegal payment of oil revenues into offshore accounts, plural. It's not accounts. That's why I'm asking if you can provide us with more that will give some kind of supporting evidence to accounts being plural as opposed to one. That is the basis of my question.
The JOHL thing to be a few accounts, not just one account, but the whole contest is about the JOHL thing. That's how I've understood it. We have had it all along on the basis of that understanding. So I'm not sure that at this belatedly they are going to be able to say that it's a different account they are talking about.
Mr. Chairman, for clarity,
yes.
I just want to say that it can be one company and multiple accounts.
Well.
One company can have 2 or 3 accounts. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it can be 2 companies. It's one company with
Very well.
accounts.
So just for clarity, you're saying there's just the one company. There are no other companies like this. It was just the one that you made reference to.
GMPC has other subsidiaries like Exploco, but a week or 2 ago, if you were in the chamber, the Honorable Kobna Donko and the chairman, that day it was a vice chairman of the Employment Committee, moved a motion on GMPC, and they listed the subsidiaries of GMPC in their report. In that report, there was no Jubilee holding. Thank you.
And this $100 million in particular had to do with Jubilee holding in particular, not the other ones. That's why it's making reference to only the JN's.
Mr. Chairman, can they be specific whether there was one account or 2 accounts? So in preparing to answer, we can respond appropriately.
No, we don't have to do that. He was clear. He said that we're talking about that money, but there might be a few accounts. We are looking at 100 million.
I think it's
if
important.
the 100 million is found in 10 accounts, so be it. If it is in just one account, so be it. So we'll get some...
Yes, and Counsel, your client is alleged to have made the payments. He would appear before this committee, and I'm sure he can confirm how many accounts were involved in receiving the pay in the 100 million.
Very well.
Go on.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. At some point in, elucidating your points, you mentioned that there was some kind of overspending when it came to the COVID budget. Would you be able to provide the committee with more details so that we can actually, look at this to be able to actually come up with a finding that we can report to the floor?
Yes.
Specifics.
Yes, we can provide you with further details on the COVID expenditure that we think it was over expenditure, and we think that it is part of the reason why
that
we are
extra to what you already alleged, or what?
No,
You're going to look for more?
No, we have, these are public information, so we can put them together.
So you pile on, as we go along, you pile on more evidence, isn't it?
No, she asked for it. She asked for it, whether I can.
No, but you see, I think you should also be fair to our colleague. You have been very clear in your stand that this is what you're looking at. She has asked you innocently that, well, would you be able to add some more?
So you want me to say no?
No. Be fair with her.
No, I'm fair. That's what I'm saying. Yes, I can.
Look around on a frolic of our own and look for some more.
If you want more, I'll give you more.
She hasn't said that. It's you saying that, yes, we'll go around and then fish for some more information and add.
With all due respect, the question from the Honorable Senator Ajima Rollins was to the effect that, okay, did they have or can they give further particulars, with respect to the COVID expenditure? It was very specific. In addition to what they have alleged, can they? No. That with all due respect, that can be supplied to this committee. It's public information.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, let me refer you to our rules, standing on the 67D, which applies to this committee's hearing on questions. 67(1)D. A question shall not be asked regarding proceedings in a committee which have not been placed before the House by a report from the committee. Mr. Chairman, the Speaker has constituted a special committee to look into the COVID expenditure. We are in the process of evaluating all the documents that my colleague Atufosin and the rest of members of the ad hoc committee has been tasked to do. I believe that we are in that process, and that question from my colleague ought not to be admitted, because that report by this rule has not yet been laid before the House, for which he will be sitting here to say that, oh, I have further evidence to what has been supplied or been requested of the committee.
No, with all due respect, are you done with your submission? I think that you are, grossly mistaken in your reading of Order 67(1)(d). Order 67(1)(d) relates to proceedings at plenary. In respect of which questions are being asked regarding proceedings of the committee that do not arise out of a report that has been laid before plenary. All right. In the course of the exercise of the investigative or inquiry power of a committee, that question is appropriate. The question that she has asked is appropriate because she's asking follow-up questions relating to information that may be made available to the committee so that we can make a fair determination of the matter that is the subject matter of the inquiry.
Mr. Chairman, where do you posit this question with regards to those grounds that they've enumerated in their proposition to this committee?
It is in the context of evidence that has been laid before this committee.
Which one?
There are 7 of them.
Yes.
So where do you place it?
No, she's looking at item 7, gross mismanagement.
Gross mismanagement of what?
Of the economy. Honorable Patrick Guama, you have the grounds of the motion, don't you?
I do, but I'm at a loss as to where she wants to proceed.
Whatever there is to put before, they have. That's my point. We already have what they have. We have enough of it. So it is all for them to go out based on the questions that she's asked, for them to go fishing and to add more onto it. Go on to your next question. Doctor.
Chairman or co-chair, for me, the issue that I have, which is to do with our job here, if you're talking about mismanagement of an economy, it's not just an abstract concept. There are figures you speak to, and I'm simply asking for them to provide figures on some of the things that they have said. Because otherwise, our report...
I'm actually helping your point.
I
Some
know.
of the figures they themselves have made.
That's all I'm saying.
No problem at all.
Yes.
See, the impression is that they're going to look for some more, some extra whatever.
It's just
for what he has
to
said.
speak specifically.
Give us some evidence on some documents on
Mr.
what
Chairman,
has already been adduced. There's no
the
problem
minister
at all.
reported to the House and stated clearly that government spent 18.3 billion Ghana cedis on COVID. It's of public knowledge. So what again are we asking for?
Well, they have that figure, so they're going to bring it. See, what's your worry? What's the problem?
No, Honorable Padigwama, what is the breakdown? Was there a breakdown?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
There was a debate on the floor. You spoke. I spoke after you. I recall vividly, Mr. Chairman.
But it doesn't mean that the committee cannot inquire into those matters. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, in the 2021, Mr. Chairman, in the 2021 media review, page 100 and 101 has details of some of the COVID expenditures. Some, not all, but at least about majority of it. 2021 media review, page 100 and 101 has the details.
Yes. And then after that, Honorable Ahiefo.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, on the issue of JOHL, I want to find out from the proponents whether they are aware that JOHL is a limited liability company.
Limited liability company, who are the directors and holders of it? Limited liability company. We are hearing you. Who are they? I'm aware that it was incorporated in 2021.
They are not aware.
Yeah, I'm aware that when the Honorable Counsel for the Minister was here, Gabi, I warned him. He had a document before him. I told him my eyes are very fast. I'll chew it. So when he opened the first paragraph, I saw JOL incorporated in 2020. So I'm answering based on
what is that? What is that?
I wasn't aware until I read from him.
So you read it. What did you glean from
I
it?
read from him. I kept warning him that don't put your document before my eyes.
All right.
He did.
So that's fine. So what is the answer? You are aware that it's a limited liability company?
Oh, from what I read from him, he provided an answer that it was incorporated in JOH.
What is getting to 630? Even the minority leader wouldn't behave the way you are behaving.
So limited liability company, our concern is with whose approval did you take money meant from the Petroleum Holding Fund into that limited liability company? Who are the owners of that limited liability company? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, for your information, I think our grounds has nothing to do with the company. Our grounds has to do with the amount of money that they do not hit the Petroleum Holding Fund, but ended up in a particular account. That's our grounds.
Okay. Okay. So it's confirmed. It's confirmed before this committee.
You can only...
The Honourable Mesa.
Yes.
It's confirmed before this committee that Jubilee Oil Holdings Limited is a limited liability company. Can you now proceed?
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the proponents whether they are aware that the shareholder of that limited liability company is GMPC.
I won't know. I didn't incorporate it. And if it is GMPC, absolute, or there are others. Is it 100% GMPC? I wasn't to answer questions.
You are asking the question, or you are saying that you don't know?
He says it's own limited liability owned by GMPC.
He asks you, are you aware?
As I live here,
I take it that he's not aware.
No, as I live here, I'll go to the Registrar General and profile
to your next question.
Jubilee Holding. Thank you.
Chairman, I want to find out from the proponents that if it is established that indeed JOHL is a limited liability company which is 100% owned by GMPC, and that JOHL is the entity that owns the 7% stake in the Jubilee and 10 fields, they still will hold the same view that the revenue that accrues to JOHL.
Governor, look a minute. Wait, listen to us. 1 second. No. We're not going to answer any of that. Does it help? Because the two of us were conferring. We think it will be fair to get GMPC here. So can we hold on this and for GMPC to come and deal with the JHO matter? So if we can
Chairman,
leave it.
you see, the import of my line of questioning, that it seems to me, because I have the work program of GMPC that was submitted to Parliament and duly approved. And in that document, GMPC, in fact, disclosed to Parliament that in October 2021, they had acquired a subsidiary company by name.
That's why we think that we've got to get them here.
So, Chairman, my point is this. It seems to me that a wrong premise has been set with a view to embarrass and nothing more. That's why I'm going where I'm going. So that if it is clear.
I also raised the matter. I raised the matter whether they were aware that GMPC has something to do with this, and we left it hanging like that because I think we had agreed that we get GMPC to come and sort this matter out. So
you want to invite GMPC to come and respond to this
coming
question?
to deal with
the person who has been accused of paying sums of money outside the jurisdiction is the finance minister.
We appreciate that.
Not GMPC.
We appreciate that.
And so it's important for us to, please, Mr. Co-Chairman, it's important for us to establish whether indeed and in fact the minister has directed or even made payments outside the jurisdiction in the first place.
By the time we get to the minister's response, this matter would have resolved.
Very well.
And then, Honourable Co-Chair, I think the Honourable Mesa was impugning
Chairman, I withdraw.
Yes,
I withdraw.
I think you should withdraw. You should withdraw. Yes, to say that they had an intention to embarrass.
I
There is a motion before the House.
duly withdraw.
Please.
So you don't have to belabor it. I've withdrawn, and I apologize.
Yes.
Please apologize. You don't accept that there's an element of embarrassment in all of this?
Well,
Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
It is against the rules, right? Practices and conventions of Parliament to impugn ill motives to a member who is making a point on the floor.
Yeah, thank you.
I have, in all humility,
No, you withdrawn it, so we don't believe it. We don't believe it.
anybody.
It looks like it's done, isn't
slighted.
it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Honorable Anyebu.
You are the last one.
The indication is that it passed 6, so I have to hurry up with my question.
In fact, you do better by not asking at all.
Yes, the proponents of the motion. I understand you to be saying simply that the success of a country never lies not in falling, but rising each time there is a fall. You have stated in ground 6 and 7, respectively, that the finance minister is incompetent. He has mismanaged the economy. Earlier this morning, they brought a letter requesting for particulars. Can you tell the committee specifically what the finance minister ought to have done that he failed to do? In other words, what he has done that he ought not to have done that resulted in the incompetence and the mismanagement of the economy.
I'm not sure you are entitled to take us right back to the beginning of all that proceeding. No. Not that it's been explained. As they went along, they explained to us repeatedly, ad nauseam, explained to us why this and that, and repeatedly, as far as he was concerned, why he was incompetent. I kept asking him, that was your view, that was this and that and that. So why are you taking us back? So that's why I told you that when it's 6:30, you don't ask questions.
Mr. Co-Chair, if what they have given us satisfied.
It doesn't satisfy anything.
Ground.
It's their view. No, it doesn't satisfy. It's their view. Go on.
If they are satisfied with item number 5,
who is
on
satisfied
their letter,
with that? Who is satisfied?
I am okay.
Who is satisfied? No. Don't leave us hanging like that. Who is satisfied with what?
There was a letter specifically requesting for particulars. And I am asking a question pertaining to ground 6 and 7.
In that all along they made a statement to the effect to what they think is the incompetence. We accept that. But now you are saying that if we are satisfied, that the committee is satisfied that there's some incompetence here, or who is satisfied?
No.
That is their view.
No.
The finance minister will come and explain whether...
If you are satisfied that
who is
the
satisfied?
answers given complies with the full
You
particulars
are
that they are requesting for.
You are out of order. You are out of order. It's okay. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. Yes.
Honorable members, any more questions to the two witnesses?
Well, it's fine. No more questions.
Oh, don't worry. All right. The Honorable Minority Leader and the Honorable Ranking Member on Finance, the Honorable Members of the Committee, the Honorable Members of the Committee have indicated that they do not have any further questions for you. There will be no questions from either myself or my co-chair, the Honorable K.T. Hammond. There's only one outstanding issue with respect to reference that was made to the special audit report.
Before we forget, you recall that along the line we referred the Hansard of what about June? To counsel for this thing, to clear with his client if they appreciate what's in there. I think we almost gloss over. Yes, counsel, what do you have to say about that?
Honorable K.T. Amon, I was on the floor with respect to that audit report, and I think I must insist.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
We'll come back to it. We made a ruling on it. If you are going to overrule my ruling, we'll deal with that.
No, I didn't intend to overrule.
So let's listen to.
As a matter of committee procedure, I thought that we should take.
I understand that. Let's listen to counsel, and then we'll take it from there. Yes. That we refer to him. We'll come back to him. I'm tired, actually. Yes, go on.
Mr. Chairman, I've looked at the Hansard of 22nd June 2022, specifically from pages 116 to, I believe, 123. The question was laid by Theresa Ladi Awuni, and the specific question to be answered by the Minister of Finance was this. Mr. Speaker, I beg to ask the Minister for Finance how much was raised in total from government bonds since 2017, who the transaction advisors and book runners were since 2017, and how much was paid to each of the transaction advisors and book runners since 2017. And the question, the names that came up, there were 9 institutions at least, including Stanbic Bank, EcoBank, Absa Bank, GCB Bank, Car Bank, Fidelity Bank, IC Securities, Data Bank, and Blackstar Brokerage. Now, all the details I haven't gone through to be able to say that this percentage or this amount was.
That really has nothing to do with the conflict of interest point at all.
So I will get there. I will get there because the number was mentioned here as having specifically gone to Data Bank. And I'm saying that I haven't done the calculation to tell you. But what I can say, and I go back to my point, that there was no specific question or mention of conflict of interest. The minister was asked for information, facts and figures regarding bonds issued. And in this case, so I think if we're going to create a link between the two, as in the minister being called to ask questions, to answer questions on bonds, link that with the minister facing a vote of censure, where specifically one of the allegations is to do with conflict of interest, then my submission is that, respectfully, that matter, as to where that matter can be properly.
We'll get you. We'll deal with that in relation to the constitutional point you raised. Thank you very much.
It's charged.
Okay.
The Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Yeah.
Council,
No, you are not following. No. That what? Sorry, what did I say? I asked him to. We gave him the document to clear with his what's the name? The finance minister. So we almost. Harun, stop it, please, stop it.
You heard him.
No, I haven't heard him. I'm speaking, and you also speaking. What do you intend to do?
Yes. So Council.
Yeah. So we asked him to clarify with his client. He's come up to tell us his view. So what's the problem, Haruna?
Chairman, you have to be a little patient. As he read the answer, continue to be.
Else I would have sacked you from this place already.
In his answer, he mentions.
This is my field today.
Data Bank.
You can't have the whole house to yourself when we get there.
Barclays,
today is my day.
Blackstar. So that excited our interest on conflict of interest to see whether it bordered on ethical or unethical conduct. We are not conclusive. So some of these questions, for instance, we've already filed a question for the Minister of Finance to answer on pensions. Don't overrate what we know. We only ask to get official confirmation for our purposes in saving this country. So we've already filed a question for the Minister of Finance to answer a question on pensions. We know something, but we want to be sure. So I just wanted to contextualize it. But
as I said, we will discuss that in context of the constitutional point that he raised.
Yeah, Council, are you aware that from the Hansard report, payments were made to Data Bank? You are aware of that?
It is obvious.
Very well.
Among others. Yeah.
Among others.
Yeah.
All right. And the Finance Minister stands in a relationship with Data Bank, does he not?
Finance Minister is a co-founder of Data Bank.
Okay.
And he's not the first Finance Minister to be a founder of a bank.
Well, that is a historical
But he founded
match.
it before.
Very well. Very well.
What about the resignations? I read something about he resigned from directorship.
Honorable K.T. Amon, can I land? It's important. It's important. It's important. It's important.
What about is he still a member? Whatever.
He resigned, I believe, in 2014 or 2012.
Yeah, but he's a shareholder, is he not? Oh, no, Council, please. You made a constitutional objection based upon the content. Okay.
Respectfully,
yes.
I am saying that there's nothing wrong with Parliament asking a Minister of Finance about
payments made to his company. Very well.
But in this particular instance, the charge or allegation or ground for his removal through the process of vote of censure is specifically about conflict of interest. I think let's not try to.
I think we had enough of this. Yes. We had enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So what? That's done. Now let's. What next? What follows?
So
sorry. Well, forgive me. So what maybe I said it distinctively. So what? If I repeat, what I mean then is that what is that? Yeah.
What
so
next?
What is that next?
What next? Yeah. Yes. The Auditor General.
What are you saying about
his,
I ruled it out. What are you saying?
Well, it must be ruled in.
So you are telling Chairman what to do?
No.
And when I talk about modern day young men, everybody is upset with me. Look at that.
These
Your
are.
uncle makes a ruling the forum as important as this. And you want to
Unfortunately.
How are you going to get this back in? How are you going to get it back in? No, who didn't agree? The chairman. Okay. Let's get this right. When the chairman rules, he doesn't need the agreement of the entire body. It is the co-chairman. Now, I talked to the co-chairman, I thought he agreed, and we ruled it out. Why is the co-chairman coming back?
I hadn't agreed before we rose. As I said.
No, I didn't think I was.
Yes.
But if he says, wait a minute. No.
It's important because they answered questions on it.
If he now says that it was unilateral, what does he intend to do now? You see, we'll face we'll make a big header because I have ruled. He said he didn't rule. I got 3 of them here. We are 4. You got 3 of you here. We are 4. You are 4. What are we going to do?
Well, we take a vote.
How do you take that vote?
We'll take a vote.
All right. I go along your vote and let me hear you.
Very well. Before we take the vote, you want to make a point?
Chairman, thank you for the opportunity revisiting.
Sabe, that's the point. That's the point. What is it that? Because the point, one second, the point that we're making was that consistently they were arguing that we stand the risk of continuously adding to the list. We already have 17, and so we said, why do you 18 of the items? That so we said that in fact they themselves didn't have this.
But already on the list we have Auditor General reports.
What is it in there that you
we have Auditor General reports? This is an Auditor General's report.
Go on, show us the point.
I made reference to page 34 and 35.
What is in there?
About the recoveries that have been made. The 4.7 billion in wrong pockets. The Auditor General has managed to retrieve
in wrong pockets.
2.2 billion.
In wrong pockets,
yes,
not
yes.
in the finance minister's pocket.
Diversions. Well, the finance ministry is here, 1.6 billion.
Not in the finance minister's pocket.
I haven't, for the finance ministry, is here as 1.6
All right.
billion.
So yes, the Auditor General is made some money for the state. Is that the point?
The Auditor General confirms
Yes.
the fiscal recklessness we are talking about, the malfeasance, the diversions, the corruption. So, Auditor General's report is in the list of reports that have been presented by the proponents. Why can't we add this?
You want to mark it as what?
Yes, let's add it.
Over to the clerk and mark it as
Thank you very much.
Give me. Mark it, and the minister would answer for himself. He can talk.
I think that if the Auditor General makes a report, this report is not against the finance minister specifically. The Auditor General can make report, and that is his duty. He makes it every year. He recoups monies that go into wrong hands. Except we want to say that every item,
is responsible for that.
Is responsible. Otherwise, I do not see.
I'm happy to put it in there.
No, that's the import of what you are saying.
Yeah, put it in there. That's fine.
The Auditor General had made a report.
Honorable members, at this stage, the evidence has been laid. Whatever probative value we attach to that evidence is left for the committee. So that is why I think it's important.
The evidence has been laid by?
The evidence has been led by the proponents of the motion, and honourable members, in asking follow-up questions, are entitled to refer to documents in the public domain published by this republic.
And it is irrelevant.
No, why do you say it's irrelevant? You are saying that it's irrelevant.
Nothing means the finance
yes,
minister
so
on this.
Okay, so make you. Well, so
colleagues, enough. We can't be shouting across like that. Yes, complete.
Well, I was saying that if the honourable member is minded to have the committee rule on the admissibility of the evidence, he's entitled to to put a motion on the floor. You are entitled to make a motion on the floor for us.
Honourable Imadu, for what it's worth, let's put it in there. But he made 2 points. The probative value of it is significant. Let's put it in there. We'll see what it's worth. It's fine. It might not be worth anything as far as this contest is concerned. All right. So,
okay, so the Honourable Minority Leader and the Honourable Ranking Member on Finance, I think you've...
No, I don't think they need to take their leave yet, because we've got to decide on our next steps. If we have to get them back here, they need to know.
No, the clerks will communicate to them.
Okay.
If we need to get them back here.
Okay.
Yes. So you are discharged from the committee. And thank you very much for the time you have spent with us and for the evidence that you have placed before the committee in service of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council will be here with us. We thank you very much. He will be coming back with the finance minister when he's giving evidence. We'll make a determination with respect to the time that you appear before us.
Mr. Chairman, we were told that we'll be given time to prepare, and considering all the documents and evidence that were being thrown in as the proceedings were going on, we would wish to request for 48 hours to allow the finance minister to study the documents and all the evidence before this.
Entirely proper. It's entirely proper. Yes. It's finished. It said it was 48 hours. 48 hours is Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah. And
come on, with all the evidence that we had, give them 48 hours.
172. We would want. Is it our understanding that they have finished?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Okay. And you will still rule on the round one. Okay. And when should we expect a response from you on that?
We will do that before we leave here.
Tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
On the constitutional point, we would rule on that before we leave. Yes.
Okay. But we require at least 48 hours.
What's your reckoning of the 48 hours?
48 hours should mean that, what's today?
Today's Tuesday.
Yes, it says we are looking at Friday.
So we have tomorrow 24 hours. No, wait a minute. 48 hours. Let's do the mathematics right. Have you forgotten your mathematics? 48 hours. Tomorrow is 24. And then Thursday is another 24, 48. So we're talking about Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Council, the last day, we've been given 7 days.
Yeah.
All right, and the last day is Friday.
Yes.
So we don't have, the Speaker's permission to give an extension beyond the 7 days.
We could. I mean, that we could. We could go to the Speaker and...
No, that would require moving a motion on the floor, right?
What's the problem with that?
Well, we believe we can, the Finance Minister, who will speak for himself,
Yeah.
we believe we need just 1 day for the Finance Minister to make his submissions.
Well, if that is so, can we have you on Thursday at 11, so that we give ourselves...
What about 2 o'clock?
Thursday may be a bit of a stretch. This is a serious committee. A lot of serious allegations have been made.
Friday seems to be fine. We'll talk about this. Yeah, we'll talk about this. Because the whole idea of coming here, moving this to committee, is to give the minister ample time to scrupulously deal with the issues confronted with. So I think Friday, Mr. Chairman, let's Thursday or Friday? Friday.
Yeah, Friday morning.
Yes.
In that case, we'll meet earlier. We'll meet earlier so that, yes. So instead of 11, we can meet at 9 or 10. 10 o'clock.
Yes.
10 o'clock in the forenoon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you.
All right. And Honorable Finance Minister, thank you for attending upon the committee with your technical team. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll draw the proceedings of the committee to a close for today. Thank you very much, members of the media. Yes, and we are not going to answer questions,
So it's actually been an eventful day today in the House of the Legislature for the very first day of the sitting by the ad hoc committee to hear the motion by the minority on the vote of censure against Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Now the committee will thus continue its hearing and sittings from tomorrow, since it has 7 days to actually go about its work and present its report to the Speaker of the House. So you can join us subsequently for updates on this particular sittings, and that's it for our coverage on this particular matter that we have been carrying for you. My name is Kweku Eduama, and so many thanks for watching us.
In 1957, the Gold Coast gained political independence from Great Britain after approximately 83 long years of colonial rule. 65 years later, is the Black Star still a shining example of Black excellence, resilience, royalty, and sophistication for the African continent? Or is the Black Star simply a Black Star? What has become of us? What has really become of Ghana? What is the true state of the nation?
The Matrix Verse, Ghana at 65, the state of the nation. A poetry concert by Apioko, coming to you on the